Antarctica, when we hear the name, we think of endless ice, desolation, and isolation from the rest of the world. A continent that seems lifeless, where traces of existence linger only faintly on the frozen surface. But what if I told you that beneath that seemingly motionless ice lies a massive archive, a sealed doorway holding secrets buried for millions of years? What are those secrets? How could such a cold, barren land have once been home to giants, creatures so extraordinary that echoes of their existence still live on in human mythology? In this journey, we will travel back more than 50,000 years, tracing a path from Aboriginal tales of dragons to the silent evidence hidden deep beneath Antarctic ice. In this episode, legend, science, and the memory of lost giants do not stand apart, but intertwine like different layers of one collective memory. And to begin our adventure, we must first meet Megalania, the colossal land lizard that once roamed Australia, lived alongside humans, and may well have been the living inspiration for dragon myths. Megalania, the dragon in dreams. Let us begin in Australia about 50,000 years ago, when the ancestors of the first Aboriginal Australians set foot on this continent and faced a world unlike anything they had known. Among forests and sweeping grasslands, a supreme predator ruled. This was Megalania, scientifically named Varanus priscus, the largest land-dwelling lizard the world has ever known. Its gigantic size, if today's saltwater crocodiles inspire fear, Megalania towered far beyond them. Stretching over 23 feet long, nearly twice the length of a family car, and weighing more than 2,000 pounds, about the size of a water buffalo, this reptile didn't need to lurk underwater. Simply walking across the land was enough to spread terror. With serrated teeth and massive limbs, Megalania was both a deadly predator and a clever scavenger. Its venom, while many giant reptiles relied on brute strength, Megalania wielded an invisible weapon, an anticoagulant venom. Picture this: one bite to the leg of a massive diprotodon, and blood would gush endlessly. The animal would stumble, weaken, and collapse. Megalania didn't need to rush. It would trail behind patiently, like death itself, waiting for its prey to bleed out. That was its most chilling advantage. It didn't have to defeat you in the moment. It let your own body destroy itself. Its hunting strategy, unlike the marsupial lion Thylacoleo, which attacked head-on, or the land crocodile Quincana, which ambushed from hiding, Megalania employed relentless pursuit. Bite, retreat, and wait. It was a silent assassin, conserving energy and ensuring victory through patience. This strategy made it the undisputed ruler of the land. It was this blend of dragon-like form, massive strength, and terrifying strategy that elevated Megalania from being just an animal to becoming a living archetype. To early humans, an encounter with it must have felt like standing face-to-face with a demon, both real and otherworldly. Although predators like Quincana and Thylacoleo existed at the same time, Megalania appears to have specialized in hunting diprotodons. These giant, slow-moving marsupials lived in herds, offering a steady and abundant food supply that no other predator could exploit as efficiently. Perhaps most fascinating of all is the overlap in time. The oldest Megalania fossils date back about 500,000 years, and yet the species went extinct only around 40,000 years ago. This means it coexisted with early Aboriginal Australians for thousands of years. Could encounters with such a monstrous creature have left an imprint on human memory? Some researchers believe so. They suggest that Megalania may be the true source of myths about colossal goannas, beings like Wowie and Dirawong, rather than the more symbolic and complex rainbow serpent. Antarctica, the secrets of Gondwana. Megalania is often seen as a symbol of ancient life in Australia, but its deeper story stretches beyond that continent, reaching into the frozen silence of Antarctica. To uncover this connection, we must turn back nearly 190 million years, when Australia and Antarctica were not separate lands but united as part of the supercontinent Gondwana. This colossal landmass began to break apart around 85 million years ago, a slow geological process that left profound clues for modern scientists. Because of this ancient bond, the secrets buried beneath Antarctic ice may still echo within the story of Megalania. When explorers first reached Antarctica, they unearthed fossils that astonished the world. Among them was Cryolophosaurus ellioti, whose name means the frozen crested lizard. Discovered in 1991 by geologist David Elliott, this predator bore a strange, fan-shaped crest sweeping across its skull. Its flamboyant look earned it the nickname Elvisaurus among scientists. What made this discovery extraordinary was not only its shape, but what it revealed. During the early Jurassic, Antarctica was not an icy desert, but a temperate, fertile land of rivers and forests. Stretching nearly 23 feet long and weighing about 1,000 pounds, Cryolophosaurus was the apex predator of an ecosystem long forgotten. Yet the first dinosaur ever discovered in Antarctica was not a carnivore, but an armored plant eater. In 1986, Argentine geologists uncovered the remains of Antarctopelta oliveroi, meaning Antarctic shield. The fossils were fragmented, scattered over a small area, and badly weathered by the continent's harsh conditions, making excavation last nearly a decade. Still, what emerged was remarkable: a specialized tail weapon compared to the Aztec macuahuitl, a flat, bladed club lined with sharp spikes. With such a weapon, Antarctopelta was like a living fortress, capable of resisting even the fiercest predators. If Aboriginal myths in Australia spoke of dragons, then these discoveries suggest that Antarctica, too, once harbored its own ice dragons, giant creatures of flesh and bone that ruled a world utterly different from the white desert we see today. And when we look deeper into Gondwana, we uncover a profound truth. This supercontinent was more than just a landmass. It was a living bridge that connected ecosystems, enabled the migration of species, and left its fingerprints in the myths of cultures separated by oceans and time. Studying Antarctic fossils not only helps us rebuild its lost forests, but also retrace the evolutionary journey, one that may have given rise to giants like Megalania in distant Australia. The lost giants of the Ice Age. We have traveled through the age of dinosaurs, but our exploration of lost giants is far from over. Shifting along the timeline, we move closer to our own era, the Ice Age. This was the time when enormous mammals ruled the southern hemisphere, and when our human ancestors first began to set foot on new continents. Australia was home to creatures unlike anywhere else. Consider the Diprotodon, the largest marsupial that ever lived. Resembling a colossal wombat, it could weigh as much as 5,000 pounds, the size of a modern rhinoceros. Alongside it roamed Procoptodon, a short-faced kangaroo with forward-facing eyes that stood over 6 feet tall and weighed more than 400 pounds. Both of these giants lived at the same time as humans. Our journey shows that these lost giants were not confined to one place, but spread across the southern hemisphere. If humans in Australia once encountered them, then Antarctica, a continent still largely unexplored, may hold even more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Yet the story of these giants ends in tragedy. They vanished from Earth between 40 and 50,000 years ago. The cause of their extinction remains one of science's most heated debates for more than a century and a half. Two main theories dominate the discussion: human impact and climate change. Some researchers argue that the arrival of humans in Australia played a decisive role in the disappearance of these giants. Archaeological evidence shows that humans entered the continent during a relatively mild climate, allowing them to settle and expand. Overhunting, combined with burning forests and disrupting fragile ecosystems, may have rapidly pushed megafauna populations into decline. New fossil dating suggests that the overlap between humans and these giants was surprisingly brief. This weakens older arguments claiming they coexisted for long stretches of time. Still, critics of this theory point out that Megalania, one of the most famous giant reptiles, was already rare and may not have been a major ecological driver. Geological evidence also indicates that some species went extinct before humans arrived, making it difficult to argue that people were the sole cause. On the other hand, many scientists emphasize the role of climate change during the late Pleistocene. As prolonged droughts set in, ecosystems became increasingly arid, and water sources grew scarce. Analysis of fossilized teeth shows that the diets of many large animals shifted dramatically, reflecting their struggle to adapt to harsher conditions. Shrinking lakes meant herbivores and carnivores alike weakened, leading to widespread population collapse. But this argument also faces challenges. If climate change alone caused the extinctions, why did tropical and subtropical regions of Africa and Asia, where similar environmental shifts occurred, not suffer the same large-scale loss of megafauna? This question makes the climate hypothesis less convincing when taken in isolation. Antarctica, the hidden archive. Our story may begin in Australia, but the true center of the mystery has always been Antarctica. If Megalania belongs to legend, then Antarctica is a legend still unfinished. This frozen land is not just a graveyard of bones, it is a vast archive of Earth's memory, preserved beneath miles of eternal ice. Recent discoveries have given us breathtaking glimpses into a world long buried. Among them are entire fossilized forests, with trees still rooted in the ground, dating back nearly 280 million years. These remains are undeniable proof that Antarctica was once a warm, thriving land, green, fertile, and alive with rivers and forests, completely unlike the icy desert we see today. Imagine walking through those forests, towering conifers overhead, dense undergrowth beneath your feet, and the sounds of primitive creatures echoing through the shadows. Such images transform Antarctica from a land of silence into one that once pulsed with life. Even more remarkable are the traces of ancient life hidden in sediment cores taken from the ocean floor around the continent. By studying these layers of material, scientists can reconstruct the history of Earth's oceans, how ecosystems rose and fell, how climates shifted, and how continents drifted apart. Each grain of sediment acts as a time capsule, preserving chemical signatures of temperature, carbon cycles, and even microscopic fossils that reveal what kinds of organisms once thrived in those ancient seas. Adding to this treasure trove are the famous ice core drilling projects. These cylinders of compressed snow and ice hold an unbroken record of Earth's climate stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Trapped within them are tiny bubbles of ancient air, allowing us to measure the atmosphere as it was in ages past. Through these bubbles, scientists can track the rise and fall of greenhouse gases, the rhythm of ice ages, and the fragile balance that has always governed life on Earth. Antarctica, then, is not merely a frozen wasteland. It is a natural library, perhaps the greatest archive of Earth's evolutionary and climatic history. Every layer of ice, every particle of sediment, every petrified tree is a page in the story of our planet. And here lies a sobering truth. We have only just opened the cover. The deeper chapters, still sealed within the ice, may hold the answers to our greatest questions: why climates collapse, how species adapt or vanish, and what warnings the past may offer for our uncertain future. That is why Antarctica is more than the last frontier of exploration. It is both a mirror of Earth's past and a key to its future, linking the age of Gondwana to the age of Megalania and ultimately to us. Legacy and memory. Our journey has taken us from the deserts of Australia, where a giant lizard lived on in legend, to the frozen wilderness of Antarctica, where ice dragons have slept beneath the ice for millions of years. We've seen how these creatures once shaped their world and how they vanished, leaving behind traces that still echo in us. The true secret is not only what lies hidden beneath Antarctica's ice, but how our collective memory through myths and stories has preserved the legacy of these lost giants. In uncovering their bones, we're also uncovering fragments of ourselves, reminders of a world where dragons were not just fantasy, but living giants of flesh and bone. And so, our expedition draws to a close. These ancient beings remind us that Earth itself is a storyteller, and every grain of sand, every fossil, every frozen layer of ice is a word in its eternal book. What we call legends may be echoes of truths too vast to disappear, and in many ways they still shape who we are today. This is not the end of the story, only the turning of a page, because as long as we keep searching, Earth will always have another secret to reveal. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell us where you're watching from. Until next time, keep exploring, keep wondering, and remember, the past is never truly gone. It's still alive, waiting for us to listen.